Welcome to the fourth instalment of The Secrets of the Lines, a series where I look at interesting facts about the lines and stations that are on the line. This episode is the Illawarra and Eastern Suburbs line. For some reason, Transport for Sydney calls the railway line as far as Waterfall and Cronulla as the Illawarra line, in contrast to the Wollongong area, which is known as the Illawarra region. We start our journey at Waterfall, which is a small town surrounded by the Royal National Park on one side and Heathcote National Park on the other. The railway between Loftus and Waterfall was only electrified in 1980, as commemorated with this plaque at Waterfall Station. An old wooden panel destination board is still in use at Waterfall. There is also this marble tablet with the names of 66 Waterfall community veterans who served in the First World War. Finally, information on the history of the Waterfall line can be found in these displays. Now we start heading to our next station, Heathcote. The service between Waterfall and Sutherland is only every half hour outside the peak times. So in the interest of saving time, I decided not to alight at Heathcote and Engadine. Heathcote Railway Station was originally called Loftus Railway Station when it was opened in 1886. Engadine Station was built in 1920 after some community funds were raised to partially pay for the construction of the station. Showing that community spirit in the 1920s, there is a photo on the Sutherland Shire Council's local history page which depicts a full railway platform being opened. This line joining the Illawarra line was a railway to the Royal National Park station near Audley. The Royal National Park Railway was opened in 1886 and closed in 1991. The line is still occasionally used by the Sydney Tramway Museum, which is located adjacent to Loftus Station, which is our next station. The Sydney Tramway Museum is only currently open on Sundays. A link to the website will be found on the description to this video. Loftus Station was originally built in 1886 as Loftus Junction Station. The next station up the line is Sutherland. Sutherland is the junction station to the Cronulla and Waterfall services. You can see down the line from Sutherland where the Cronulla line branches off. The building on the left-hand side was a former tramway office built in 1911. Before the New South Wales Government Railway built the Cronulla line in the late 1930s, there was a tram line which served a similar area. The tramway was closed in 1931. The Cronulla Railway line was opened in 1939. Next we go down the Cronulla branch. First stop is Kirrawee. The Kirrawee platform used to extend under the Oak Road overbridge, but with the duplication of the line between 2007 and 2010, the station was moved slightly east. There was apparently a hold-up at Kirrawee Station in 1954, where a young man stole £43, which in today's dollars would be worth around $1,670. Next station up the line is Gymea. Originally the Cronulla branch was a single-track line, with Gymea and Caringbah stations doubling as passing loops. And for the second time today, I witness a symmetrical departure of two trains. Westfield's Miranda was once one of the biggest shopping centres in Australia. It is a short walk from Miranda Railway Station. Miranda Station also has a original 1930s ticket window. At Caringbah Station, there is an old style candy shop just upstairs from the platforms. There is also a rare on-platform shop. This park celebrates the redevelopment of Currang Bus Station in 2001. Woolware is the next station. Woolware was once a one-platform station, with Platform 1 being the original platform. Woolware is the closest station to the Cronulla Sharks home ground. The last station on this branch is Cronulla. Cronulla is an interesting station. It has two platforms that run end to end, rather than being opposite each other or on an island, which most two-platform stations would be. Most trains arrive and depart from Platform 1. Cronulla Station also has the old 1939 ticket windows still in place but not in use. A short walk around Cronulla Station, we get to a ferry wharf which takes people across to Bundina, a rather isolated village that is surrounded by the Royal National Park. Obviously people have been vandalising trees to better their bay views. That nature must be left alone. This underpass that goes under the railway has a community painted artwork display. Another case of where local community has come together to make the railway precinct that community's own. Time to catch the train back towards Sutherland to continue north up the line. After Sutherland, we have Janelli Station. Janelli Station was built in 1931 and it was built and largely funded by the Sutherland Shire Council. At Como, there is these historical pictures in the waiting room. Como is currently undergoing an upgrade. Como only receives a half-hourly train during non-peak times, so I decided to catch the train back to Janelli and catch the next train, which stopped at Oatley. I think Oatley is one of my favourite stations. You have these pictures in the waiting room and information about the sidings and the railway history of Oatley. However, you also have the old Oatley signal box, which is on the platform, and you can look inside the window at the old switches. The original exit to River Road still exists behind the overbridge. On the overbridge, they have created an interesting effect. The next station is Mortdale. The suburb came to be known as Mortdale after the railway came through and the station was built in 1897, which was situated slightly south of the current site. Before the railway came, it was called Mort's Hill, named after industrialist Thomas Sutcliffe Mort. At Penshurst, the concourse mixes the old 1940s architecture with modern amenities like lifts. The next station is Hurstville. Hurstville Station opens out into Hurstville Central Shopping Centre. Hurstville Station was opened in 1884. However, the original station buildings were demolished in 2008 after the shopping centre above was refurbished, which was originally built in the 1960s. Some trains run a limited stopping schedule after Hurstville, so all station services usually start from Hurstville. Next stop up the line is Illawarra. Illawarra Station was not built until 1925, when the railway was quadruplified. The Illawarra Hotel, which is adjacent to the railway station, was voted Best Casual Dining Establishment in the Sydney South area for 2018. It was purchased by new owners in 2019 for $34 million. On to Carlton, which is the closest station to the St George Illawarra Dragons Sydney home ground. of Jubilee Oval. Apparently the South Coast Line trains make additional stops at Carlton on game days. Like Hurstville, Kogarah goes up into a small shopping centre. The name Kogarah comes from a local Aboriginal word meaning rushes or place of reeds. Before 1884, the spelling of Kogarah was spelt in different ways. Coggera, Coggerah, and Kugggerah were included as the various spellings, but the New South Wales Government Railways came through and spelt Kogarah Kogarah, and that spelling stuck. The current platforms that are in use at Rockdale are platforms 2, 3, 4 and 5. Platform 1 is a short platform that was once used as goods siding. It now houses track maintenance equipment. Up on the top of the coffee shop are a few old photos of Rockdale Railway Station from the past. Rockdale was once the terminus of a private tramway that went down to Brighton and the Sands. Next station is Banksia, where there's station upgrades going on. In this waiting room is an artwork of the coastal Banksia, as well as some old style seating. The suburb of Arncliffe's main street is adjacent to the railway, with this old post office being opened in 1898 after the railway arrived in 1893. Next station is Wallow Creek. We have already covered Wallow Creek in my Macarthur and Airport Line video, but I have a few more secrets for you. Occasionally Macarthur Line trains will go via Sydenham. You can see here where the lines join the Illawarra line. There were plans to eventually put 2 platforms on these tracks, so that the Macarthur Line trains that were going via Sydenham could stop at Wallow Creek. Back to the Illawarra line, if you go to the northernmost point of the platform at Wallow Creek, you can actually see the end of the platform of the next station, Tempe. This house adjacent to Tempe Station was once a station master's cottage. It is now a privately owned residence. And here is the view of Wallow Creek Station from Tempe. When Tempe Station was being planned, it was originally to be called Cook's River. At the time, the Cook's River was a favourite place for Sydney-siders to go swimming and boating. Next stop is Sydenham. We have already covered Sydenham in my Bankstown Line video. One thing I noticed, the planes are starting to come back. We have already covered Redfern in the Leppington and Inner West Line video. However, these platforms are underground and seem to be a blast from the 1970s. The tunnels were started in the 1940s, but were not completed until the line's opening in 1979. Like Central, there are 2 platforms and tunnel portals that are unfinished above platforms 11 and 12. The next stations are Central and Town Hall. I'll cover these in a separate video on the City Circle line. Next we get to Martin Place Railway Station. Martin Place Station is undergoing some redevelopment as it will feature as a station on the Sydney Metro. Martin Place is the heart of Sydney's financial district and has the Reserve Bank of Australia close by. There is a Reserve Bank Museum which is currently closed due to coronavirus. There is also some artistic murals at Martin Place. Am I breaking my rule of not trying to film people? No, this is actually artwork. which is at the entrance of Martin Place Station. The train sees some sky after Martin Place before going underground once again to get to King's Cross Railway Station. I like these 1970s signage at these stations, ensuring that the passengers on all three levels of the train know where they are. The walls of the escalators at King's Cross Station have historic pictures to look at as you go up the escalators. Outside King's Cross Station on Darlinghurst Road, you have these quotes or tidbits of history, including a Jewish refugee who in 1939 made King's Cross home. A dentist in his homeland, he introduced goulash and schnitzel to King's Cross. Next stop is Edgecliff. Edgecliff Railway Station opens out into Edgecliff East Point Shopping Centre and has a bus interchange on the roof. Now, as we go from Edgecliff Station to our terminating station of Bondi Junction, we will briefly come into the sunshine once again, for a moment. This area was originally to be an additional station, Illawarra. However, it was protested against by the locals, and the government, looking to cut costs, decided not to build the station. At Bondi Junction, the tunnels go a bit further. These tunnels are used for stabling trains at night. The original plan was for the Eastern Suburbs Railway to continue to Bondi Beach and as far south as Kingsford. Bondi Junction has one of the best bus stations in Sydney, and it's from here that you catch the bus to Bondi Beach. Well, that's another line done. If there is something I've missed, please comment down below. If you like my content, please consider subscribing to the Travelling Trents YouTube channel and hit the bell for notifications of when I post next. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.